hopefully at a time we'll be able to do it again next week.
Yeah, good. Andy, got a favorite or a romantic spot yet?
I don't know, the Dungannon access point is definitely nice earlier today while it's snowing.
In the snow.
Hi, I'm Judy Jordan. I'm a native of Dungannon. I've been in school assistants here at Dungannon Intermediate School. And my favorite spot would have to be just on the outskirts of town, a little place called Childers Springs on the Clinch, because that's my ancestral family home.
Very good.
I'm Donna Begley, and I'd say that Childers Springs is my favorite too, because my ex-brother-in-law owns it, and I go up there every once in a while and cane. So,
Thank you.
I'm Frank Kibler with Wisco Planning District. My favorite spot, well, I'm sure it's getting ready to be something here in Dungannon because I've been working with them on what they're doing here for over a year. But up to this point, my favorite spot has been down near the Spears Ferry where the railroad trestles are. As far as a romantic spot, I haven't had a romantic spot for over 40 years, so I'm going to go with Jim Baldwin's answer.
How about this table here? Who wants to start you off?
I'm Brad Stallard with the Health Department, and I was romantic spot for confluence with the kids, and for reasons that you probably don't know.
Very good.
Kathy Stewart, St. Paul, Main Street. My favorite place on the bridge is probably about an hour down from St. Paul, down below Bart's Ford and Bellman Hall, because I always feel really good when I go through there.
Monty Salyer, Town Council, St. Paul. I married a St. Paul girl 35 years ago. A.R. Matthews Park was a common place for us. We got a lot of good memories of the Clinch, but my most recent memory, if anybody's taken the canoe ride or something, if you hear a phone ring, that's my phone.
What were you doing when you lost it?
I did. I lost it in the Clinch. I know, and everybody's thinking, why do I have my phone? Well, that was I asked myself that.
Maddie Gordon, I'm just a lifelong resident of St. Paul, grew up there, grew up on the river. But my favorite place is probably Cleveland area, because me and my granddad fished there regularly since I was little.
Okay.
Ronnie Gordon, I was raised in Cleveland. Cleveland was my favorite. Just been there, he's
Thank you.
I'm Jennifer Bailey, and I'm a resident of St. Paul, and my favorite place on the Clinch is the river trail that goes down there from St. Paul.
Good. Thanks.
I'm Greg Bailey, I'm her husband. I'm 31 years. My favorite place is actually the same place, but we walk from the Oxbow Dam around Sugar Hill Loop every morning. No matter what it is, maybe not tomorrow. There's a 2-mile stretch of river we walk by every day. We walk twice, 2 times by every day. So that's my favorite.
Ishmael Richardson, I'm with the Natural Tunnel State Park, and I grew up on the headwaters of the New River in North Carolina, which is a National Scenic Area designation. And I think parts of the Clinch, especially the Miller Yard area, are comparable to the river up there. It's a pretty river.
Thank you.
I'm Megan Krager with Natural Tunnel State Park, and my favorite spot would have to be Miller's Yard, because that was the first place that I set my foot into the Clinch when we were looking and scouting out for float trips.
Cool.
I think the most romantic spot for me, I'm Doug Jackson with the Virginia Department of Housing. And one of the most romantic spots for me is the bridge at Cleveland, because I can't see it without thinking of that historic picture of the folks sitting on the side of the bridge, the black and white picture in an old-timey dress, and so it kind of brings layers of time out for me. So that's romantic to me.
My name is Travis Curry, I'm director here at Dungannon Development Commission. One of my favorite spots is the river bridge here at Dungannon. When you have the river and you can look up and see the whole mountain. It's just awesome.
Good. Travis is both our host and our cook and chef and server and everything else. So let's welcome him. You joined us after we were doing a round, so we were actually actually look at the most romantic spot on the Clinch. You can introduce yourselves, and do you have one?
Yeah, my name's Melody Reeves, and we have a place at the back of our property that's a bluff overlooking the Clinch, kind of between Miller Yard and the big bend in the river, so you can see mountains and river at the same time. So, my favorite.
I'm Chuck Shuford, and I have to go along with my wife.
We have a couple other people who joined us.
Okay, my name's Ernie Benk. I'm with ARC Television, and we're doing a documentation of the coal fields in Virginia, and we're working with a non-stock nonprofit, Streaming Appalachia, to put this on the internet, run it through one partner at Duffield, which would give us 10 million viewers worldwide, and document it permanently. So you go anywhere in the world has the internet, and you can see what we're doing, or what you all have done, really.
Thank you. My most romantic spot, my wife and I actually went on a float with Terry Ann Funk and her husband, Brock. Of course, you know that Brock died very shockingly and unexpectedly, so our hearts are with Terry Ann and also, and it was also a very wonderful float that we did a year and a half ago. So, you want to?
Yeah, have we welcomed everybody else to the meeting? Have everybody? Thank you for braving the snow. Some of you who did brave the snow, we definitely appreciate it. We know there are several people who weren't able to make it. Again, my name is Christine Gobey, and one of my favorite places is Critterville Park, where I played with my kids up in the northern part of the headwaters of the river. Many places on the Clinch. For people who this is your first meeting, please make sure that we have your email address, or if you don't have an email address, your postal address, for us to keep you in the loop about when upcoming meetings are. If you'd like to join an action group, there are 5 different PERVI goals. Clinch River Valley Initiative, we pronounce the acronym PERVI. There are 5 different goals with different groups working on them. So let us know. Andy, if you'll wave your hand. See, Andy, if you'd like to sign up on one of those groups. There is a volunteer open, a consensus-based steering committee. Meetings are open, and the steering committee meets monthly. That's makes the decisions about the Clinch River Valley Initiative. We are going to have very brief action group updates. Just know that usually, again, as Frank said earlier, action groups meet at the meetings and have lots of time to dialogue, but we want to really hear about the towns and the hometowns of the Clinch program tonight. So, action group chairs, if you could give just a brief synopsis about what's happening in your action groups, and then we'll move into our panel and the welcome in a moment. So, who would like to start? Nick, great.
I'm Nick Proctor, and I'm co-chair with Pam Cox with Scott County Tourism for the Access Point Action Group. And one of our primary goals is to work on public access to the Clinch River, whether that's doing renovations or building launches from scratch. The most recent work that's been done is in Old Castlewood with Lou Wallace around the St. Paul area, and in Cleveland. Both have been new construction projects, and both have gone through the joint permit process with the state, DEQ, VMRC, and the National Corps. So here this spring we're hoping to move forward. Funding's already been partially acquired for both access points through the game department and through this initiative to go ahead and get construction underway. We've just gotten new word about 18 hours old that the access point just north of Dungannon and Miller Yard may be back into consideration. So those are the projects that are in the hopper right now. If anybody knows of any other municipalities or land opportunities, go ahead and float that our way. That's all we've got. Thank you.
Great. If you have any questions, please do Nick at any point. Let's move on to State Park.
Sure. Steve Lindeman, I'm the co-chair along with...
Sorry.
I'm the co-chair of the State Park Action Group along with Scott County native son Rufus Hood, who I think is at the Board of Supervisors meeting tonight in Gate City, so he couldn't be here. We're working right now mostly to try to get some funding to actually buy some land for the state park, and we were working with the legislature on that. There's a possibility, there has been a possibility that they would introduce a budget amendment into the budget this year, but it's not looking very likely at this point because it's not a good budget year. We've been looking at a lot of different properties up and down the Clinch, from Tazewell County to the state line almost in Tennessee. And most recently, kind of the biggest news we have is Tazewell County has stepped forward and put a piece of property on the table, if you will, the Cabot's Creek Park. And they would like to actually donate that to DCR to become the first anchor point for the state park. And that's being given very serious consideration right now. And we're likely to have the Secretary of Natural Resources down in May to take a look at that and some other sites as well.
Thank you, Steve. How about we go to water quality and environmental ed?
So I'm Willie Dotson, I'm assistant for Kirby. The water quality and the environmental ed action groups have kind of been meeting together. The water quality group, basically every month or two, we're doing riverfront cleanups, illegal dump site cleanups, and then we work through the Upper Tennessee River Roundtable to work with the counties and do household hazardous waste collections as well. The next thing's coming up on the calendar is a river cleanup here in Dungannon on March 20th, which I'm really excited to be working with Deborah and Nick and some other folks in this room on. As far as the environmental education group, kind of the main two things to know about is the 3rd annual Environmental Education Symposium, Southwest Virginia Environmental Education Symposium, where we bring educators, teachers, as well as informal educators all to St. Paul and teach them different things that they can use to teach in the classroom about using our ecology around here as a teaching tool. And then the other thing, that's going to be on May 9th this year. The other thing is the Clinch River Youth Summit. This will be the first year we've done that. That's coming up on February 28th. And this is for high school students. So if any of y'all know or are high school students, I don't see many people who are high school students, but please talk to me about it. It's an opportunity for high school students to meet and learn from some of the nonprofit and kind of government agency people who are doing tangible environmental improvement projects in the watershed, and then they can apply for $200 mini grants to get involved in those projects or to have projects of their own, and then come back to the Environmental Education Symposium and teach the teachers about their projects. So really exciting stuff going on in our groups this week.
Really. Doug and Shannon, do you want to mention downtown entrepreneurship?
I think you're going to hear a lot about it, just a little bit.
And lots happening with entrepreneurship too. So there's just a tremendous amount of really good work going on. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact us. Or if you have ideas or you want to plug in specifically, but you're not quite sure how to, just let us know how. If you go to clinchriverva.com, that's the website. Contact information's on it. If you just want to find a way to plug in or start an idea, we welcome it. So maybe we can shorten our panel, Doug, time a little bit to let you figure out the timing.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah.
Any questions or comments before we move into our launch of Hometowns of Clinch? Thank you. Yeah, Emily? Is anybody not wanting to be recorded? So with that, thank you all very much for being here, and Jim is going to welcome us to our evening meeting with Doug and the group.
Let me know your water.
Just, it's all you. All you.
I ought to get Frank up here because Skip Skinner's supposed to help me out with this. So I may holler at you, Frank.
I don't know.
Don't claim them.
Well, this is a great turnout. Thanks for coming. This is something that I've been very excited about. You to enhance economic development opportunities all along the Clinch River, and also doing that by celebrating the diversity of the river, the real notoriety that it has around the nation, probably more than it does even here in our own communities. Many people who've grown up here, and I grew up in Honaker, so I know Honaker well. We didn't know what a jewel we had, so this whole initiative has been very satisfying, not only professionally for me, but personally as well. I'm going to read the vision that we've adopted, the steering committee adopted. It's over on the wall, so I'll go real quick, but it's very important. We decided in the beginning that by 2020, the Clinch River Valley will be a global destination based on its unique biodiversity, natural beauty, cultural attractions, and outdoor opportunities. This collaboration will bring measurable economic, environmental, and social benefits to the region's communities while protecting the Clinch's globally rare species. That's very succinct, but I think it's something that all of us can support. I've worked with communities all along the Clinch in my years at the planning district, beginning with Tazewell at the headwaters, down to Richland, Cedar Bluff, worked on a Main Street project in Richlands. Honaker, we're finishing up a Main Street project. Cleveland, we're working on a Main Street project. I haven't worked in Little Wesco, but I found out I'm a stakeholder in the Dungannon downtown revitalization effort. My dad, who grew up in Wood, about 5 miles west of here, when he got out of Emory and Henry College, came to teach here at Dungannon. He was supposed to teach at Buffalo, which is over on the back valley for people that are near here. But the day he went there, the teacher at the high school didn't show up. So he got transferred that day to the high school. He said it was the happiest day of his life. But so my roots go back a long way with the Clinch. And even in Honaker, if you're ever up there, they have a wonderful little community museum. And one of the greatest pictures I've ever seen is on the Blackford River Bridge, which was moved probably in the 50s. There's a great picture of a dance held on the bridge. Because it was a double-span bridge. It was wood, wood base, so the cloggers, were all having a great old time. So, our communities along the Clinch have really been tightly connected to the river. So here we are in this time, trying to build on that history by connecting all the hometowns along the Clinch. So, it's really a neat thing that we're all involved in. This is envisioned as sort of a Main Street designation. The Clinch River being our Main Street. Deborah, you said you could step out your back door and be at the river. So that's a real beauty of this whole effort. And one of Todd's co-workers, Denise Ambrose, called it the Pearls of the Clinch. She came up with that name. So as we go through this Hometowns of the Clinch effort, we can think of ourselves as Pearls of the Clinch. And the other great thing about it is it's community driven. Here we are, 50, 60 people, and it's not an organization. It's a loose-knit group of folks who have a single-minded interest in their communities and the Clinch River. So it's really a unique thing. When we think about it, we've talked about the whole idea of incorporating, having a 501c3. you know, we don't want to get bogged down in all the process and the organizational part. We've achieved a lot just by working together in a collegial manner, with votes being taken or using consensus rather than vote taking. As we've moved this process forward, it's been real organic. I don't know how Frank and Christine and their group, I don't think you've worked with an organization quite like this.
Never one so cool.
But you know, what we've been able to do and what we're building on tonight by launching Hometowns on the Clinch is a result of that kind of community-based leadership. So we want to talk a little bit tonight about what all this means and what it can be. How do we want to build a network across the communities to promote our communities in a cooperative way, and then to support the businesses in our towns. You know, we want this to be not only a community building effort in terms of, you know, pride and that sort of thing, but also an economic effort that's going to benefit our business communities and build businesses that really connect to the river and are very much mindful of the river's uniqueness. How am I doing, Doug?
You're doing good. You're doing great.
Oh, you okay? You're backing me up here. That's good. So we're going to talk a little bit about the resources and how we put together a collaborative network. Are we going to have an open sort of discussion?
We are. We're going to have a great discussion.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's where you take over. And to talk about the engagement of our downtowns with tourism and entrepreneurs, and then to come up with an initial network design and some work areas to keep us busy as we go forward in this effort. So it's kind of tonight's our first draft of the program.
Yeah, we have some ideas. We're floating them by you tonight. That's a river reference.
So we're going to kick off the network tonight, this discussion, with three of our communities leading that discussion as we explore some of our best practices for our downtown revitalization. So you want to take over now? And
Sure. Yeah. We're gonna do a little panel, and Kathy Johnson from Cleveland's not with us tonight, so we're gonna do it with two, and I think we're still gonna have a great discussion. There's a lot happening, and I imagine the next time we get together up in the other stretch, the upstream stretches of the Clinch, we'll have probably a very similar discussion, but with different communities as well. So that's our first part tonight. Then we're going to talk about what it means to be an entrepreneurial community, and we're going to talk about some of the tools we have that we can use, and then talk about a structure. And this is just something we are floating by you, and you're going to weigh in on it and say, yeah, is this a good idea, a bad idea? How do you want to tweak it and change it? But first, raise your hand if you can, for me, name 3 locally owned restaurants, each in a different community along the Clinch.
Andy B.
Okay, you're already disqualified because you hollered out your answer. I asked you to raise your hand. Yes, sir. Mr. Woodard.
Oh, you want me to name them?
Yeah, tell us the community and the name of the restaurant.
Tazewell, you have Fisher and Company. Cedar Bluff, you have B&B or Star Dip MT. And Richland, you got the Bearded Goose.
Terrific. Nick, tell him what he won.
Well, Johnny, he won himself a Clinch hat.
We didn't tell us to be proud.
Well, maybe you'll have another chance.
That's actually Jim's, and I kind of scooted this.
Oh, that's all right. All right, well, let's start our panel discussion. We've got Luann Wallace with St. Paul tomorrow, and Deborah Horn from here in the town of Dungannon. And we've got we want this to be kind of conversational, so there'll be some chances for you to add to what's being said. And Jim just read a vision statement. By the year 2020, the Clinch River Valley will be a global destination based on its unique biodiversity, natural beauty, cultural attractions. What does that look like, the year 2020, what does that look like in your towns? And Mayor Horn, I'll let you go first.
In 2020, okay.
Paint us a picture.
Maybe speak up just a little bit too.
Paint us a picture. It's a beautiful summer day. What does it look like?
It's a beautiful summer day, and I'm heading to the office. And I pull up at the intersection out here beside the school. The lights down. We have a nice little walk-up ice cream parlor sitting right there in front of me. Little kids are standing there eating ice cream, and it's dripping down their chins, and they're giggling and laughing and having a good time. Sidewalks. I look and see new sidewalks on both sides of the street, people walking and enjoying themselves. As I go on towards the office, I see a little park place that we have for discussions, and I see a group of people in there having discussions and talking and enjoying each other's company. When I get to the office, I sit down at my seat, and behind the town hall is our new park. You can hear children playing, and the basketballs are going back there, because for 2 or 3 years, that's what the kids here, the boys, they want a basketball court, full court, so they can play. So I can hear them back there hollering and playing, and the children playing on the playground. When I get off from work, I cannot wait to go home so I can change clothes and hit the 3-mile walking green beltway that we've got now, that we can travel, walk all the way around and meet different people, and maybe new people that comes to town, maybe taking a walk, and you can visit with them and enjoy them and explain to them about what all new you have in your town. I hope to see a little small shopping center with 4 shops in it, and people shopping and women coming out carrying their bags and laughing and having a good time. And more restaurants. And then after my walk, I can't wait to go home and get in the backyard and climb in the canoe and go fishing and rest and relax for the afternoon.
Are you going to invite anybody over?
Backyard party? Backyard party at my house.
That is a full day, and I can visualize it. Thank you. So a little upstream in St. Paul, what's that same day look like?
I don't know how to follow that. That was great. And I see the same thing for Dungannon, and I have for some time. So those of you who live here, I've had your vision for a long time. Anyway, and we see much the same way, and I think that that's what's going to happen collectively with our hometowns on the Clinch. We're all going to have to sort of be reproducing the same, almost the same thing. We're going to be in a different atmosphere, though, and some may be a little busier than others, because I see a creative boutique hotel sitting in my downtown. And so I'm real excited about that. And I see a lot more ATVs up and down the street. I see cute little Priuses with little kayaks on top of them. And I see a few more shops than what we've got now. And my expansion in my head has more to do with outdoor activity as opposed to building, because we want to keep what we have. The richness of the area is not housed in a building. It's housed in our hearts. And that kind of reception that we give to those folks who want to come and spend their dollars here and leave quietly and no trace behind. That's my vision of leave your green and take your trash.
Okay, we'll open it up to one person in the audience. If you want to raise your hand, if you would like to share with us one little piece of your vision, what you see happening on that same day, one other activity, you can raise your hand.
I'm going to,
Oh, did you already have your hand up?
I don't know if I did or not.
Both of us.
Okay, we might take two.
I want to end my day. I'm going to go by my friend, he's got a little brewery, and I'm going to have a beer made out of water from the diverse water of the and we're going to call it, what we're going to call it, Greg. Greg's been over here riding. I'm going to go to Sugar Hill Brewery Company, and I'm going to have water from the most biodiverse river in the nation, the Clinch. And that beer's going to be called
River water.
River. And I'll start with one, but I have a few. And I'm gonna rest on the Clinch. That's my thing.
I think that just made me salivate. That sounds delicious. And Benny, we'll let you add one too.
Okay. As you all know, I have the little cabin over on the other side of the river, and I've got 8 acres there, and then plus I have a historical house there, and that historical house goes back to 1832. I visualize that historical house with up again, and that it is furnished with some of the old furniture, and that it has an Indian village around it, and the children, the school is just right across the river. The children can learn about our first people that were here, and how that it was Osborne Ford before that it was ever Dungannon. The post office used to be on that side of the river. That 8 acres, I visualize it's got the water on both sides of it. I visualize a walking path down that. I visualize pretty trees blooming on both sides of it, and maybe another little cabin that people can come and enjoy their life right here on the Clinch. I called it a boat tail. Those people that goes up and down the river on the boats can stop and have lunch at that little cabin. So that's how I kind of visualize that.
So we got beer from a brewery and a boatel, and I believe Nick that won them each a prize.
Hey, yo.
And as you're handing that out, we're going to continue with the conversation. Now, ladies, tell me how you've organized your revitalization efforts in your communities. And Lou, we'll start with you this time.
I knew it. Okay. Well, we have been working for several years, about 17 years, for a nonprofit, and had a vision for a very long time about what we thought our community could look like. And we do have a 2020 destination time, I think, on our strategic plan that we created some years ago. And it has evolved, and we've evolved along with it. And certainly I will tell you, if I can regress just a moment, I will tell you that we did not see a lot of things in our strategic plan when we wrote it that we see today. So I can tell you right now that success, how do you measure success? Do you measure it in the number of people walking down your street, or the number, the amount of money that's being traded between business to business, how much turnover we have? So I really don't know how you measure success, but for me, I thought it was dependent upon the people and the people coming. Some people spend $1 and some people spend $2 or 10. But anyway, that's kind of where I see that we've come, because we really didn't see some of this success, and it's just been phenomenal how much we think economic development we have created in our small town of less than 1,000 people. So I don't know where else I need to go with it, because it's just, it has just exploded, to not to use a phrase like that, but I mean, we have just seen phenomenal results from everything, and it seems like everything that we have done has proved to be a success story. I take all that back to the people who have the heart to see it through. And certainly there's those folks in every small town in America. You can find a volunteer somewhere that has a heart for their community, and that's all it takes.
Mayor, you want to give us some examples of some of the folks with heart in your community that you see stepping up to the plate now?
Let's see. Well, when I first started and got to thinking about the revitalization and all, we had our first meeting. We had about 12 people there, and which we thought that was really good. Well, at our next meeting, we had our visioning session. I believe after that, we had not an empty seat in the house. It was completely full. And I believe that once people seen in our town that they'd see the whole depot covered in cars and across the street and everywhere, and people would start coming in and they'd say, what was going on over there last night? And so that's when my turn comes, and I'll say, let's go outside here for a while. So we talk, and I explain to them, you know, what the revitalization is for our town and the things that can happen for our town, and that not only me doing things, but it takes the whole community working together. And I said, I need your all's help. I can't do this alone. I said, somebody's got to help. So as the more people came, then I took from those people. We've got on our management team, we've got a diversity group of teachers. We've got doctor, nurse, from all walks of life. We have residents. And one night on our vision, we had a little boy that was, I believe he was 6 years old. And I can't remember exactly what Doug asked. There was a question that Doug asked. Anyway, the little boy said what he wanted was to be able to bring his friends to Dungannon and be proud to bring them there so that they would want to come back to play with him and come back to Dungannon. So as a community, everybody has really worked hard and has joined in with us, and we've got a really good group and a really thing going. And we're proud of what we're doing.
If I could just tag on to that just a minute, because I think this is kind of organic anyway, right? I think it's very important for people to realize that this is a building effort. And it just takes a couple of people to make it happen, and that starts building on that initiative. And it's basically how the Clinch River Valley Initiative has come full circle, I think, because it's involved so many communities, and it's involved these people, and they believe, yes, we can make a difference. Yes, we are empowered. It's empowering each other, and it's undergirding that type of excitement that you feel when you get up in the mornings of, yes, I can make a difference. And you know, a lot of people say, well, you can't take it with you, but you can leave it behind. So I think it's a great legacy for all of us.
I like the image of that first meeting with 12 people, and the next meeting with a much greater number, and that echoed something that Lou had said earlier, that people are starting to see success in her community and wanting to get involved. How are you bringing new people who haven't been involved in the past? How are you getting involved now, Lou? Folks who haven't been involved before.
We tended to go, we'll say, oh, it's just the same old bunch. But you know, that's the way it is in church. You got the same old people doing the same job in church and in in the Ruatan and in the Lions Club. But we found out that, and I'm watching it now, that as another volunteer kind of signs on, they'll go, you know, I'm telling my friend about this. And it's kind of began a growth cycle. And you always have a core. You always are going to have a small core of volunteers that are just constantly busy. But then you bring into that other circle, I think I look at it as a circle within a circle within a circle. And that's kind of how I look at a core volunteer or a core group that you can go, I can call them up day or night and say, I got a problem, and they're going to help me fix it. Then you got this next little core that says, I want to help you, so call me, I might have time. And then they'll find the time to do that. And then you've got this next circle that will say, call me and I think I can help you. Or I might come to your meeting. That sounds fun. So what you have to do, you have to keep spinning, basically. And I know this is my analogy of the whole thing, but you have to keep spinning these circles till it continually sucks people in to maybe be poor. And that's what I say. When you come to my office and you can't get away for an hour or so, I say it's a great sucking sound when you come into my office, because you know you get sucked in and you go, oh gosh, I didn't know that, or I think that's a great idea. So we're spreading. We're constant. You have to be constantly working it, as I say. It's a job, a volunteer job. And I will tell the group that I'm very proud to say this. As of this year, St. Paul had 3,740 hours or something, a total of $69,000 to parlay on a grant. And that is volunteer hours. And it just keeps going. And we have more and more people who come. Every one of you all tonight are actually sitting here as a volunteer, and you could be considered to be paid for hours. I hope we're keeping up with that.
Good thing I'll remember that.
Mayor, you've been talking to a lot of people. What's your tip for sucking them in?
More or less, I just get out and speak with people and talk with them. And, you know, the mindset in Dungannon at first was, Dungannon's not going to have nothing. Nobody's ever going to help Dungannon do anything. You're just wasting your time. And I'm like, wasting my time. Well, what do we have in life but time? Some of us work hard and we run out of a lot of time and stuff, but I have a little extra time. And I take that time to speak with the people in the town and tell them, if somebody don't stop and waste their time for this, then Dungannon will sit idle from now on. But if you can get up and say, hey, I seen St. Paul and I seen Cleveland start to grow. And I'm like, hey, Dungannon can do this too. We deserve to have a good town and a good place for our children to grow up just as well as the other towns. But somebody's got to get up and do something here. Nobody's going to walk in here and just hand it to us. That's not how it works. We have to work for it. So I got out and I talked to people that I thought that might could help me a little bit here and there. Well, then I got that one person, yes, I'd be glad to. Well, then that person spoke to their friends and they're like, Deborah's over here and she says that Dungannon can have something. But she says she needs help and we got to get the community together to work together to get this. So as time went on, the more I talked, the spread the word, the next one talked, and everybody kept talking, it kept going through town. And then as they seen things, and one thing that really made a difference, Dungannon has to see something physical before they can believe that there can be change. And there's one thing, and I thank Kirby, I thank Nick Proctor for 2 picnic tables, the kiosk, and 2 trash cans. Those things made Dungannon see, well, we did get something. I have went down there, emptied the trash cans. There's no trash on the ground down there no more. People are picking it up and using the trash cans. I go across the bridge and I look down there. There may be AEP sitting down there eating lunch. They may be a mother and children sitting down there eating lunch. It's being used and they love it. And that one thing has brought more people into some of our meetings like, hey, we're seeing change. There is a little bit. Let's see if we can help her get a little bit more. So everybody now is coming together and everyone is working together to help Dungannon become a better place.
We're trying to be really conscious about how we're creating a learning network. And we're trying to learn one community, learn from another community, and sharing best practices. Have you learned anything from any other communities so far in this network or even in other communities you visited?
Yes, I learned that we can do a lot of things if we get up and work. I know I met Lou Ann, matter of fact, right here at DDC, and it was at a Clinch River Valley Initiative meeting. And she told me, she said, you need to get involved and need to get started with some of this stuff. And I'm like, really? And she talked with me, and after that, I went home that night and I thought about that a lot. And
Well.
so I got to talking with some other people, and you know that's. And then when I went to Cleveland for another Kirby meeting, we had a revitalized. I was in the revitalization committee part, and matter of fact, Doug was leading that, and I told Doug then that I said, you know what would be really good? I said, if I could get with Cleveland and with St. Paul, I said, then I could learn from them because they've already been there, got started, and on their way. And I believe that there's a lot of things that I could learn from them that I don't know and could really know. And that's a good thing about launching towns on the Cleveland.
Do you have anything you want to add there?
Well, we're complimented. St. Paul is very complimented to
It is.
be an inspiration to the other towns and to Dungannon especially. I'm more philosophical about this than I can be nuts and bolts because we've kind of been through the nuts and bolts thing for so long. But I have no idea where county and town lines are. I know where they are because I drive across them every day. But I think as soon as we all give up this town line, county line thing, and realize that we're all one here, and we're in this beautiful place that everybody wants to come to, as they say, the Virginia Tech professor says they all salivate when you say, let's go study in the Clinch. And so by that, I think that when tourists, and that's what we're talking about here, is possibly having tourists come and spend their dollars here and enjoy the culture and enjoy talking to the mayor of Dungannon and enjoy talking to the folks in my hometown or Cleveland. And what they take away from that is a sense of who we are and where we came from. And we have a lot of history here and a lot of things to offer that no one else can make claim to in this nation, I think. And I think when we believe in ourselves, that makes a big difference too. And so I just see it as we're all in this together. Rising tide floats all boats here. So I think we're all in this together, and no pun intended on the Clinch either. But it's important for us to realize that we are neighbors. And even though I want to do well, and I want all the money, and she wants to do well, and she wants all the money, but you know we're going to have to work through this and make sure that I look just as good as my neighbor. When you drive through a neighborhood anywhere, and you're looking at that neighborhood, and you pick out that one house in that neighborhood, and you say, "Gosh, that looks good," but Lord, I had to drive through the trashiest place to get there. So in other words, if you're going to have to drive through Dungannon, I want you to look good because you're going to be impressed with that when you get to me. So, I mean, one diamond, we can't have a diamond here outshining the other because I think it's going to take all of us. And certainly if St. Paul was going to be ultra famous and everybody wanted to come there, they're still going to have to look at the rest of Southwest Virginia. Not meaning that we're pitiful, but we have to realize that we have to have more community pride, and I think that's the gift that we're going to give to the rest of the world if we're going to be a global destination. We're going to have to teach them how we live.
Great. Before we wrap up, let me just see if there are any questions. Anybody have any questions for our two panelists? Comments?
I have one question, and Mayor Horn, you addressed it a little bit, but how do you do you try to engage people who don't want to be engaged? Do you try to, in St. Paul as well, do you just let people come to you? Do you try to spark a conversation? What if somebody says, I don't want to participate in X, Y, Z? Like, what difference does what you're doing, how does it make a difference to just average folks who aren't currently involved? If that makes sense. Like, that's what keeps me up at night sometimes. When I think about Kirby and I think about the possibilities with Kirby, there are a lot of people in Southwest Virginia and the region and building community pride. How do you do that for people who aren't engaged? You know, how do you reach out to
beyond the choir, if you will, or beyond people who are engaged?
Well, she's tossed it over to me, so I'll start. But anyway, I've accepted the fact that you're always going to have people who are not in tune with what you want to do. And you're just going to have those kind of people. Yes, in everything. And then you're going to have folks that are super busy. There's a group of folks like my children. They're working every day to raise their children. Their volunteer life is they want to volunteer, and certainly they have a sense of that. But they can't make it all work. That's kind of like the people spinning in my outer circle here. Is, oh yeah, I really want to do that. That sounds fun, but gosh, I got a job. So anyway, you're always going to have those naysayers, period. Then you're going to have that little group that really wants to but can't figure out how to do that. And if you'll just say, well, you know, do you realize that by being in this meeting, you are volunteering? And that kind of gives them the, gosh, I am doing a little something. And they don't feel like they're just so downtrodden that they're, oh gosh, I'm not doing what you're doing. Certainly a lot of people are not doing what some of us in this room are doing. It's almost a 24-hour job. I think sometimes that my volunteer life gets in the way of my real paying job. So you just work through that. But in order to give people that warm and fuzzy feeling, you've got to say just basically what I said to you here. You can do it. It just takes a little step, and you can do it. And then that great sucking sound will come around, and you're just completely sucked down the tubes, because it becomes a life challenge. And it's not about money. It's about creating something that you can leave behind. Or it is for me.
I agree with that 100%. Mostly here in town, it's, if you, like she said, if you can get them in there for one meeting just to see, it's like that, it's like a sucking sound in there. Once they get in there and realize that there's people in here that lives beside me. They're in here doing it, but they worked all day yesterday, 8 hours, but yet they're here tonight. So they go out and they'll bring the next one over here and say, hey, come with me, I want you all to see this. And I want you to listen to what they're saying that might can really happen in this town. And once you get them in there, I think that they pull more people, and I think everybody pulls with each other and brings their friends and everything, and it makes the whole community, as time goes on, I mean, our meetings are growing with more people each time that we have a meeting of any kind. You'll see a new face, and that's what makes the meetings really go good, I think, is knowing that you're pulling one at a time. It may be one this time, maybe nobody the next time, but you might get 5 the next time. And these people they find out that it's a lot of joy to give and to help and to do for other people. And I don't think they do a lot of that here. And I think that they're seeing that I come to work every day, 9 o'clock to 3. I don't get paid for the job I do. And that's not the point of it. The point of it, I'm here to help Dungannon and to help the people in Dungannon. And I think that they've never seen somebody be there every day and work all day long. And sometimes I'm there at 4 and 5 o'clock if I've got a meeting or something else, and they're like, you've been over there all day and you didn't leave till 6 o'clock yesterday evening. And I'm like, well, I had a lot to do, but you don't get paid. And I'm like, so? I said, that's not what it's all about. I said, you've got to have a big heart and give in order for other people to see that everybody can have a big heart. You might give just a little bit, but that little bit turns into a lot. And our picture now is getting bigger. So I feel like that just talking with people and doing things like that helps a lot.
I want to clap to that. Let's thank our panelists. Thank you so much for spending some time with us. Now, if you can raise your hand, I figured Monty go ahead and have his hand up, but he didn't. You can raise your hand if you can name 2 types of mussels in the Clinch River. One type of mussel in the Clinch River. Oh, you had your...
Heel splitter.
Pardon?
Heel splitter.
Is that right? I think that's right.
Sounds like one.
They have the best names. Yeah. Show her what she won. Okay.
Wear it with pride, Peggy.
Thank you.
All right. At this time, I'd like to invite steering committee member Shannon Blevins up. She's with UVA WISE and also really does a lot of work with the My Southwest Virginia Opportunity Steering Committee as well.
Thank you, Doug. I appreciate it. It's wonderful to see such a nice crowd on a pretty chilly day. I understand we're going to be seeing even more frigid temperatures in the next couple of days. But it's a pleasure to be with you, and I'm really excited and really inspired by the stories of our communities. And I think that this is one of the things that, if you look at our region, we've turned the corner in the last few years of looking at ourselves a little differently. You know, economic development for a long time has been focused on traditional industry recruitment, bringing companies in, creating jobs, and we need to do that. But that shouldn't be our only strategy for economic development. This place-based, asset-based strategy is really working. And so the hometowns of the Clinch is an exciting opportunity for our towns along the Clinch to take another look at themselves and look inwardly to see what assets do we already have, play to our strengths, and look at the Clinch River differently than we did 15, 20 years ago. So, in talking about an entrepreneurial community, looking at the Clinch River gives us a chance for our own citizens to be able to create businesses for themselves. People here in this region are very nice, and the fact they say that in Southwest Virginia we've got a great hospitality attitude. We take ownership for people's problems, we try to assist, we're just basically very friendly people. So what better platform for us to be able to increase tourism, be able to have, you know, a hospitable opportunity for people to come into the region, and we have people who know the Clinch River. We have people who can open bed and breakfast, can open short stays, can open restaurants, and open being outfitters and guides, and we've got examples all up and down the Clinch River that have been coming to fruition over the last several years. But I have a question for you. It's one thing for those people who have had the initiative to start a business that are doing it. It's another thing to say that our community is open for business and we are an entrepreneurial community. So when someone said, oh, that community or that town is entrepreneurial, what does that mean? When we say entrepreneurial community, what do you think that means? When you hear someone say it? Any ideas?
We want to start a business.
So you want people to start businesses? What else? Encouraging, supporting small
Willing to
business?
take a chance.
Marty?
Willing to take a chance.
Willing to take a chance? Progressive? So Doug's capturing all these. Encouraging, willing to take a chance. What else can you think?
Dreaming.
Dreaming? Kind of like what we.
I mean, you got a vision. You got a vision.
You got a vision?
Yeah. Employment.
Employment, so it does mean employment, creating new jobs, bringing new capital investment into the town. Something, if you're in the seat of a mayor and you're thinking about, we want to build an entrepreneurial community, we want to see Dungannon to be able to have new businesses. And so you're sitting in a leadership role. You think, what do you have to do to be an entrepreneurial community?
Have resources.
Find resources, bring them to the table. What else?
Take pride in the entire community and the way it looks, the way it comes across to people in the past week.
So look at it from the outside perspective. Look at it with from a visitor's point of view. Okay. Take pride in the community. What else?
Believe it's a possibility.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Infrastructure that supports new businesses.
Okay, making sure that they have the right resources, but they have the infrastructure that they can be successful. All of those, yes, Greg.
As a town council member and a business owner, and I think from a town council perspective, you have to be supportive as a group of leadership. Town leaders has to be supportive across the board. If anybody willing to invest money, and you also have to be supportive as a community, as a town, to your businesses and your people.
Spend local, buy local, and setting up an environment with regulations, with taxes, with other types of support, connecting people to resources, all those things that as a town council or a mayor have to think about if you really want to be a successful entrepreneurial community. So one of the things that we've been working with is My Southwest Virginia Opportunity. Doug alluded to it just a moment ago. And I think we've got the logo, just so when you see it, you can recognize it. My Southwest Virginia Opportunity launched in the summer of 2012 after we produced the Appalachian Prosperity Project through a host of probably almost 125 people getting together over 4 or 5 different conversations, pulled together a regional strategy for entrepreneurship. And in fact, I think, Willie, we gave you our last copy today. I don't know if you got it with you or if you took it out in the car, but there is a regional strategy to try to help our towns tap into some of the resources to become business friendly and entrepreneurial friendly. And so that's the My Southwest Virginia Opportunity effort that really underpins some of the work that's going on with our trails, with the Clinch River Valley Initiative, by trying to make sure that we're getting a buzz generated in the region in increasing the entrepreneurial activity in the region. So one of the things that just wanted to kind of bring to your attention, a few things that are going on that support kind of what's happening with the hometowns of the Clinch. The business opportunity challenges that will be coming up in the next couple of weeks, actually they end in June, end of June. These entrepreneurship challenges are business plan competitions. You may have heard about the one that we did in 2013 where we had a host from mushroom growers to goat's milk and goat's products all the way to light manufacturing and even a sports apparel product. Those entrepreneurs, budding entrepreneurs, came together for education. They came together to build business plans and to compete for actual money that they could invest in their businesses. And we had them to look at this region, and they also went to Big Stone Gap, they went to Hayside, they went to St. Paul, I think it was, were the 3 communities that wanted them to come and say, hey, you know, look at this, look at our towns. Here's some things that if you start a business, you should look at this town. Those entrepreneurs competed for the grand prize in 2013, but they all met in one central location, and they came from 7 different counties within, I guess, the Coalfield region. Well, we realized that when an entrepreneur drove from Lee County all the way to Lebanon every week for 7 months, that's a little bit too long and too far. So we revamped that entire business challenge opportunity to take 4 different challenges and take them closer to the people who want to participate. So in the fall, we had a business challenge that happened in Buchanan County and Dickinson County. I think 17 entrepreneurs competed in that one, and there was a local pizzeria, a business idea that actually won that challenge. And the 3 that are up on the screen are the ones coming up. So in March, there's one that will be held in Richlands that will serve Tazewell County and Russell County. And in April through the end of May, it will be the City of Norton and Wise. That one will be held on the UVA Wise campus. The Richlands ones happen to be held in the incubator there in Richlands. And then the one serving Lee and Scott begins on May 7th, and that will be held in the Pioneer Center down in Duffield. So we listened to our participants. We heard that, hey, make it a little easier for us to get access to these challenges. So we, instead of having one larger regional one, we actually divided into 4 and got it closer to the people who wanted to participate. So if you are or if you know anyone who has a business idea that wants to have some access to education about how to do marketing, how to do a business plan, how to be able to manage people, all the things that it takes to run a business, at least get a 101 class, a basic class, then you'll be able to enroll in one of those courses and also develop a business plan and compete for a cash prize. We'll talk about hometowns of the Clinch in just a moment, but one of the things that My Southwest Virginia opportunity, we were able to, very fortunate to have been granted a Building Collaborative Communities grant through the help of our friends, literally our friends of Southwest Virginia, by being the fiscal agent. We're able to get some funds to host a couple of things. And I'm going to move to the last piece since I just came off of the business challenge. Since we launched the business challenges in 2012, there have been a lot of smaller ones rising all over the area, including in Marion, and I actually think our example came from Marion, in Washington County, Bristol, and Saltville. And we realized that we've got these graduates and these people in all those business challenges, and wouldn't it be nice to have a Super Bowl? Wouldn't it be nice to have a Shark Tank type of competition for the broader region? And so we were able to secure funding to make that happen in the fall of 2015. And so this fall, we will have the winners of all those lower level competitions,
as well as existing businesses, small businesses. You know, small businesses are creating 60 to 70% of the new jobs in America, and they are the ones that are holding our small towns together. So we wanted to have something for our existing businesses as well. So existing businesses that are branching out into a new product, a new service, or wanting to expand can compete in this higher level competition as well. It's going to be called the My Southwest Virginia Opportunity Cup, and that will be held in the fall of this year. And one of the key folks that we have that will be coordinating our My Southwest Virginia, all of our activities related to entrepreneurship, is Robin Lee. And so Robin is works with the UVA-WISE, the Virginia Tourism Corporation, and the Department of Housing and Community Development. Those three organizations have come together to fund and support one full-time position to help to encourage entrepreneurship throughout this region. And so Robin happens to be with me tonight, and so you put a name to a face. We can make sure we get you her contact information. So if you have any information about any of these things that we're doing, she's the point person that you can be able to touch base with. And so back up to the next one with leadership training. The Building Collaborative Communities Grant also provides a little bit of funding for us to work with communities along the Clinch, the communities that we know that we have leaders, and we have some significant challenges that are facing our town leaders all across America, but we feel it here because we live in this community. And there's opportunities for us to be able to provide some type of leadership training for those communities. So that more information will come out about that, and we'll certainly make sure to disseminate all that information through Kirby. Yes, Todd.
On the entrepreneurial community and the leadership, that's a hallmark of this is that do not engage in divisive political issues and don't engage in divisive politics at the local level, and it's all positive work between the communities. Everybody's on the same page, and everything's cast in a positive role, not negative towards anybody or anything.
Right. I mean, it's part of leadership, right? I mean, in understanding real productive ways of being able to deal with conflict, because conflict always arises, but how do we proactively alleviate some of that and deal with it? So the next slide that Doug has transitioned to is Hometowns of the Clinch. So March the 20th through the 27th, put this on your calendar. This is going to be a real week that we're focusing on everything Clinch, everything related to what are those things that are happening in our region. But there are going to be a few things. One of the cool things that's going to happen is Mark Wilson, who is a subject matter expert in a lot of things, from how to start a restaurant, from just reinvigorating downtowns. But he is going to be hosting a series and actually participating in some events across the region. So he's going to be doing some outdoor business training. You can see up here we've got St. Paul Business Counseling Sessions. The Russell County Chamber, he's going to be actually attending their chamber meeting. The Town County or Tazewell County Business Counseling Sessions will be held as well, and then working with Tazewell County on doing some marketing training. We want to understand if there's anything that is going on in your town. We want to be able to actually highlight that and include that as part of the Hometowns of the Clinch Week. Another activity that's happening on the UVA-WISE campus is the Small Town Design Institute. The very first one actually is going to be held on I think it's February the 22nd, but then there'll be one held on March the 25th during that week. Dungannon Cleanup and Square Dance, which we already heard earlier, is March the 20th, as I understand. And again, if there's any of those events that you have scheduled in your town, let's make sure that you get them to us through Robin, and we'll make sure that's part of it. We don't have to create any of those new events because many of you already have some on your calendars. So I'm going to kick this over to Doug.
I'll take it for a second because I've also got some swag from our friends at Friends of Southwest Virginia, and if someone could tell me about a fantastic experience they had at a locally owned business, I will give them this lovely water bottle. Raise your hand. Come on, let's brag on a business. I want to hear it.
I'll do one, I should.
We can participate.
Attended quite a unique stew tasting event at the Riverside Restaurant in St. Paul, where there were 7 different kinds of animals in that stew, ranging from moose to groundhog. I think there are others in this room.
Who else attended that?
I knew Monty would be there.
Luann?
The event of the year.
Now, how far do you think people would travel for a stew made from 7? I'm not me, I'm vegetarian. But other people, they would travel a great distance for that. And that's
The
cool.
health department is present, please.
Okay. But,
Did you know about the Andrew Zimmern episode on the Bizarre Food? Dale Hawkins, who's a West Virginia chef, they contacted him and they got Andrew Zimmern out hunting groundhogs with Dale Hawkins' father, who they bagged the groundhog. They fixed groundhog burgoo and groundhog cacciatore. And people, I just want to say, do any of you know who Travis Milton is?
yeah.
Travis is an chef in Richmond, Virginia, where I grew up. He's been written up in Garden and Gun. He's in Local Palate this month. He's getting a lot of attention, and he's from West Virginia.
He's from Castlewood.
He says both. I have to give him credit. He says both. But I want you to know that I grew up in Richmond, and in the fall I went to a dinner at an event called Fire, Flower, and Fork. And it was downtown on Broad Street, where all the hipsters go, where I used to hang out when I was a kid. And Travis was having a dinner called Appalachian Memoir. And when I was in Richmond in high school and I listened to bluegrass music, everybody thought I was really weird. You know, but all of a sudden, Appalachia is really hip. And everybody wants to know about the food, and these people were sitting there paying $75 a person for tickets to this dinner. And there was not a hillbilly joke. And nobody looked at me at my table and said, well, you've got all your teeth and you've got your shoes on like they used to do. People are taking it seriously. So I sit here and I listen to what these ladies are saying, and I know that there are people who, if they can come out here and spend a night in St. Paul and a night in Dungan and then a night somewhere else on the Clinch, because they can go fishing and they can hear music and they can see beautiful pottery and crafts and they can eat the food, they will come. I mean, they'll come right now. But it just makes me feel really good to hear people talking this way, because I think for so long we haven't.
Terrific. And I think you're right. I think it is hip and happening, and it's authentically here. And you got a great time to take advantage of it. And the more we aggregate our assets and tell a bigger story, the better off we'll be.
And mentioning Travis, there's going to be an Appalachian Food Summit at Heartwood in
September.
So food tourism is really growing.
I can't say enough either, and I went into business for myself. I'm sort of a reformed academic. I do lots of oral history work, which is how I ended up getting to know Willie here, and I do lots of Appalachian food and music. And I can't say enough, once you have something to offer, I do customized outreach for people. I did a museum exhibit in Portsmouth, Virginia called Changing Appalachia from Custom to Cutting Edge. And we've picked all kinds of cutting edge fine art, and we featured that. My friend Jean Haskell and I put that together. We had 700 people at the opening reception. It was supposed to come down, it started in March, supposed to come down in July. It stayed up until October. People want this, and they're becoming wiser about who we are and what we have to offer and what we're not really.
And I mean, I think this is so exciting to me because it's how I'm making my living, but I think outreach is important too, not just in our communities, but telling people outside of Appalachia.
Great.
When I heard you talk about the county lines and the city limits, I ignore state lines. It's Appalachia to me, the whole thing, and I think we need to think that way.
Terrific. Yeah, that's definitely a part of this. There are a lot of strategies we can explore together, and that's why we're trying to create these hometowns in the Clinch so that we can do it together, kind of a framework for it. I wanted to touch real quickly on these items you listed. Buy local programs, buy local, spend local, ways to attract outside resources and new investment, way to communicate our vision, to encourage others, to make it okay to believe. Those are all things we can do through this network. And we've got some tools. We talked about how we need to have pride and look. And they were talking about how we need to look. And communities need to look like they're visible. We need to get ready because companies coming, right?
That's right.
So we want to talk about some of the tools we've got in place that we're starting to massage that we're going to get in place. And we're going to design some of these tools together over the next few months as a group. And we'll talk about some ways we're going to do that. But I'm going to turn it over now to Nick.
Great. So like Doug said, and what was mentioned earlier, is looking at our communities and making sure that our communities are ready for ourselves, for revitalization, but they're also ready for our visitors. And one of the parts of this Hometown of the Clinch campaign is we're developing, we haven't nailed it down quite yet, of what a visual assessment tool would start to look like. If you're going to be a Hometown of the Clinch and be associated with this program, there's this tool. So basically, it's from a revitalization standpoint, it's looking at your bright spots. What are the areas that are either doing well in your community? If your farmer's market is already a hook for your local residents or for the people coming, what things can you do there? Maybe it's simple maintenance of certain things, but looking at the town as a greater whole. So building on the good, but also identifying areas outside of that core area that's working that can be improved. The Department of Housing and Community Development is a great resource that our communities can tap into with their Community Development Block Grant. There's all sorts of programs, but the town needs to be able to identify those areas that say we strategically want to improve these areas to better our bright spots. Like I said, the visitor experience. So that might speak to wayfinding signage, points of orientation, developing centers within your community. So if you're inviting people in, but they come and they don't know if they enter the T down here at the elementary school here in Dungannon, which way is the town core? If you go right, you're actually going out of town, even though there's the bright gas station and the elementary school. So there needs to be something there that says, well, actually, your goods and services and your people and your culture and your music and your outfitters is all over here. So thinking about that visitor sequence, what's the point of when, or at what point do people know that you're in a special place? If there's not a benchmark that welcomes you into a community or that lets you know that you're leaving, those types of things. And not overlooking the small things. So from a visual assessment, are there small things that we can nip at the bud that will help slow down any degradation or very quickly bring things back up to par? Just general repair of things. Is there a signpost that needs to be repainted? A few weeks ago, or back in the fall actually, there was 2 days that, I live outside of Abingdon, but 2 days that the Public Works Department, all they did was they went around with a bucket of white paint and 2 guys for 2 days, and they repainted every signpost that had been beaten up from weed whackers and that sort of thing. And it's amazing what simple things like that, you know, $30 at the hardware store can do to really kind of elevate the community. And with my hat with Curvies, I help with the Access Point group. So the hometown of the Clinch, we can't forget about the Clinch. So there's certain maintenance things that go along with that, making sure that the trash is picked up not only in the town, but that the access points where we're encouraging people to get out and float and enjoy the river, making sure that those are all in good repair. And all of these things are going to be a catalyst for greater efforts. The Hallmark Stories up in Cleveland for their revitalization effort that's going on. Was it somebody new coming into the community that sparked that? No. Was it, you know, it was in part the town going out to these types of meetings, but one of the trademark events that happened was that the town on their own accord went and started cleaning up their own community. They cleaned up the riverfront, they cleaned up the access point, they cleaned up their streets, and that shows capacity, it shows readiness, it's things that from a financial standpoint are very doable. So we'll create a checklist that to participate in the program you're expected, or the communities rather, are expected to help with certain things. If no repair is needed, maybe they go and they fulfill that requirement by helping out a neighboring community to, you know, from a visual standpoint, making sure that everything's ready to go.
Nick, just one suggestion. As we go through this initiative and the High Knob initiative as well, which affects one man on both sides, another thing to do is to get a fresh look at your whole community and how it's oriented. And even where the center of your community might be, given the awareness and development of these assets that are around you and providing you new opportunities. And in some regards, where the communities that even put their back to the river are not really taking advantage of their best attributes, sometimes you just have to just totally relook at how things are laid out and how you are oriented in the set of the town.
Good.
Right. Terrific. So, and that's something that we can develop over. Yeah, we can develop over time. We're going to have a model pretty quickly. When Mark Wilson comes on the 25th, that event is going to be held at UVA-Y's campus, and it's going to be about building the economy of your downtown. And he does this with communities all over this part of the country, and goes in and does it himself as an outsider. He goes through the checklist and says, okay, here's what you need to do with your town. There's no reason why we can't use that same model and do it for ourselves. So he's going to present a little bit about that day, I think. All right, Nick, so the other tool we have in our toolkit.
Tools, we like tools. So we've got the visual assessment. One of the things I'll talk now with is using logos for the whole entire Clinch River Valley. Some may know, some may not, but over the past couple of years, a branding firm, Arnett Muldrow, created a pretty comprehensive branding and marketing package. And part of that is it created a brand for the Clinch River Valley, part of which the Clinch River Valley Initiative is part of. But in going through this branding process, which is developing consensus under a common image, or creating marketing tools, creating a logo, typeface, color schemes that create an image for the region. Now, because we have several communities within this region, all of these communities are able to tap into this brand that was created for the initiative. So, very quickly, what the reasons why you would need a brand, or why we need to utilize this brand, is that it creates a consistent message as the communities portray themselves to our visitors and amongst ourselves. Things look similar. You're part of a larger whole, and by doing so, you increase your footprint, you increase your capacity, and it builds capacity in communities that may not have the resources to do so. We'll cover an example that Dungannon has been able to do to take advantage of this branding system. But we have part of the branding is that you have logos. So this is a logo. Here is a logo. Here is a logo. But by using common typeface here or here, is that it ends up getting linked together. And all of the communities that are part of the hometowns of the Clinch are able, and even now in a present sense, are able to use these graphic materials to help project themselves to the larger whole. So here we have a flyer that Dungannon has created for this March 20th event. Now, Dungannon has its own logo here, Discover Dungannon, but here's a great opportunity to connect a local that might be a very small event to a regional effort that says, yes, that we're not doing this by ourselves. This has impact, this has meaning beyond the benefit here in Dungannon. So then you're able to use, again, the Clinch River logos here. You bring in your various partners to help support it. So you see common typeface, brand extensions. So this is your logo here, but you end up with different graphic elements such as little badges. Again, the typeface, consistency here to where whether the event's taking place here in Dungannon or in St. Paul or in Cleveland or in Fort Blackmore, or if the Upper Tennessee River Roundtable is doing something. Great, she's on it. Emily's going to pass around some of the flyers. Please take them, pass them, use them. But using this hometown of the Clinch will be part of the incentive program that communities will be able to link into, tap into, to help promote themselves.
Yes, so the way we envision it, there may be like 6 or 7 basic things that you have to do to be a hometown of the Clinch. And if you're a hometown of the Clinch, you get some signs to put on the entry to your community, and you can put it on your letterhead. And we think it's kind of an honor, but they're not going to be like super hard things, but kind of basic things that we think are important. I do want to point to your handout, and if you can give me 10 more minutes. We said we were going to go to 7. Can you give me 10 more minutes? Okay, we can do it. We're gonna knock it out. In your handout, behind your agenda, you've got some tips on how to use this Clinch brand. Businesses can use this, communities can use this, organizations can use this, and Nick is a terrific asset. He's going to be our point person for it. So when Dungannon wanted to put this together, Nick helped him put it together. And so these are resources we can use. There's no reason not to do this. We all own these logos. And
here's one example of the hometown of the Clinch. We were talking about the nice tangible things that you can see progress. This is one of them. We ended up buying these I guess last fall in preparation for this launch now, but this is part of that incentive program. If you meet these very basic requirements, you can start to put these on your welcome signs to where when you go into a community, this has value now. This means something. It means that it sets up expectations to where you know that you're going to get a prime time welcoming community that's clean, that's ready to go, and you're going to have a great experience whether you're going to live there or you're just visiting.
And this is modeled on a couple of things. The Virginia Main Street program has a designation like this. In St. Paul, the smallest designated Main Street community in Virginia. And in North Carolina, they have an entrepreneurial communities program that you can go through a certification and get designated an entrepreneurial community. This is exactly the same kind of program, but it's tied directly to our shared resources, Clinch River. So we think we're gonna have a lot of fun with it. I'm gonna talk now directly behind your agenda. Well, a couple of other things we can do with this network. You know, marketing, those food things. There's no reason why we shouldn't have a list of all the unique things you can eat along the Clinch River. These are assets that we can inventory and promote and tell our story together. We even have this whole system, and there are a lot more than this too. So there's a knife and fork that we can use if we wanted to do a piece that talked about the food. What are the great home cooking restaurants along the Clinch River? We can put together a web page and a rack card and do that thing, I think, together pretty quickly. It won't take us long to do that. And we've got all these tools to do it. In Clinch celebrations, we can gather all the festivals that we do in each community. They can even be church festivals. We can promote these all together in a shared calendar. These are the kind of things we can do. We've got an outdoor recreation guide. We're going to reprint that. The stickers we're going to reprint. And I think I've already talked about things. Additionally, the oral history project that's happening, that's a terrific thing. Telling when you're telling, a brand is nothing than telling your story. These oral histories, we're going to do something cool with these. I think we're going to do something cool with these. Yeah, as well as the biodiversity, the trails that the Wally's putting together. We're going to do some amazing things. Woo! I heard it. Okay. We also want to get more Clinch River merchandise out. That's one way we're going to promote ourselves, and we're trying to figure out how to do that. We talked about having right now you can get it. It's on the shelves at Heartwood. Some of the things we're giving out tonight, those are on the shelves at Heartwood. We're selling them there right now, but we've got to figure out what's our best way to get access to entrepreneurs in the region who want to sell them. Do we produce them centrally and let them buy them from us from somebody wholesale and then retail them? Do we just give them the logos for it and let them make their own merchandise? If there's some folk, I bet there's somebody in our community with some expertise on that who can help us think that through. So that's something we're going to be doing through this network. Now. In building this designation, we're trying to support each other in improving. We're going to provide some draft thresholds tonight. They're on the very back of your agenda. This is going to be like our draft for the first year if we agree upon them tonight. Then we're going to develop a structure for how to kind of loosely manage it through the steering committee. And if we agree upon them, then we're going to say, yeah, that means that each community has to meet these things in order to get the sign. It might be after a year we say, hey, these thresholds, they're not quite right, let's tweak them. But these are what we're going to try for the first year. Does that sound okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go through the thresholds real fast. All right, in order to be a hometown of the Clinch, you'd have to, and this is on your handout in a little more detail, have an active revitalization or tourism team. Somebody in your community that's focused on these kinds of improvements. And marketing. Have a tourism resource available. That means somewhere in your community there's a way to pick up maybe a map, or there's a kiosk, or there's something that's telling your story. If we have a Main Street training in the region, or if Heart of Appalachia hosts tourism training, we'd ask that somebody from your community attend that. If we have an entrepreneurship event, and the kind of events we're thinking are the pitch nights, when entrepreneurs are pitching, if somebody from your community can come and support them, that would be a way to meet that criteria. Another way would be to do like St. Paul did last year and host them for a day and give them a walking tour of your town. And I think knowing you probably fed them too, didn't you?
I guess so.
I'll
say so, but I don't remember.
You gave them peanut butter balls. We're famous there for them, right? We'd ask that somebody from the community is active in the Clinch River Valley Initiative and the Downtown Action Team. We'd ask that the visual assessment we come up with, that each year someone in your community or a team of people walks through the community and does the visual assessment. And I think it'd be kind of fun to do these over a couple of years, and so you have sometimes you do something and you've accomplished it and you forget it. kind of fun to look back and see how far you've come. And then once we figure out a way to get Clinch gear out, that you have a place in your town where it's available. Even if it's selling it from the town hall, there's a place to maybe buy a Clinch hat. That's something we'd probably be working to. And then an incentive package. When we talk about incentive packages, that's the way that the town tells their story for the kinds of businesses they want to attract. An incentive package may be something simple like, well, we'll pay for a year membership in the chamber, or we know we want a restaurant, so we're going to do certain things to attract a restaurant. Short of an incentive package, if there's a clear path for an entrepreneur who wants to start a business in their town, there's someone to talk to. Now, we've got a centralized entrepreneurship point, so we're going to make that really easy, I think, to accomplish. Those are our thinking. Those are our thinkings. I'm not really sure. Not really sure where that came from. Let's have some conversation about it. Do you have any thoughts on it? Does anything there jump out at you as like a really good idea or a really bad idea?
I think the term visual assessment is very jargony.
Yeah, what do you think we'll call that?
What do you like in your town? Or just something that's just more accessible.
Great. Because we're going to brand it something, it's going to be cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
What's cool in your town? I don't know. Something that's just more.
I bet probably some kind of like river analogy or something.
Probably so. And I would try to group them into like 3 or 5 points with a couple sub points. Because right now, if I were a town and if I were just trying to start on a revitalization process, I might be like, whoa, that's a lot. So how to make it, not necessarily change the requirements, but make it.
The thresholds themselves, not on the visual assessment.
Right, all of them. So just grouping some things together into one.
Okay. Anybody else? From a tourism perspective.
I heard mention of extra credit if you help another community. Is that what I missed that?
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
And maybe stories of towns who have done it. Like how has Dungannon done some of these things, or St. Paul?
And what would those stories go in?
And maybe there's a 2-minute blurb, on a video of how St. Paul did a visual assessment, or how have towns actually done it.
Okay, video.
Or some kind of peer learning opportunities. We have the video from tonight available for towns to learn from, just to make it easier.
Okay.
One thing that occurs to me is a lot of linkage between websites, community linkage. You go to St. Paul, it automatically links to Dungannon. There's a place where you can say, and visit these other places. So that you're pulling people all over the region together.
You can click in the hometowns of Clinch.
Oh yeah, so you're saying that maybe there's like a hometown with the Clinch logo on a town website. You click on that, you immediately go to the list of all the hometowns in
Right,
Clinch.
exactly.
Another tab on the curvy.
But just
Yeah, I like that.
encouraging
Cool.
the businesses and, like through the chamber, encouraging businesses within your community. Like our business in particular, we have a lot of people from outside the region. We do a lot of business outside this region, maybe even more than we do within the region. So people are going to our website from outside. We're not a traditional tourism company, we're a printing company, okay? We do printing and all that stuff. So encouraging businesses to kind of reach that extra out and say, hey, come on to Southwest Virginia, not just do business with us, but we'd love to have you come in town, and here's a lot of cool stuff that we have around.
Great.
Chambers could really support that with their memberships.
Also connected to Southwest Virginia itself. We gotta find Southwest Virginia, they're gonna find.
Right. Connect the Southwest Virginia.
Cross promotion.
Cross promotion.
Just other events in other hometowns.
So we can, by gathering those events centrally, we can make it easy for towns to cross promote too. Yeah.
It's not a requirement, but celebrate success, really important.
Yeah.
Success people.
How are some ways? I'm gonna come back to you. How are some ways we can celebrate each other's success?
Community calendars.
Community calendar.
If you have a tourism director in your community or whatnot, have them, I mean, imagine they go to meetings, they see each other quite a bit. And so they should be able to go ahead and pull together calendars so that their whole community or county can see what's going on so that there's something reflecting in other communities or counties.
Okay, so coordinate calendars. Yeah.
Eventually, on part of Appalachian website, we have a very comprehensive calendar of everything going on.
There needs to be a distinct differentiation between the communities. Dungannon is never going to be a St. Paul. St. Paul is never going to be a Cleveland. Cleveland is never going to be a home national. If someone has a long weekend to come here from Florida or New York City, and they want to just be somewhere to relax and enjoy peace and quiet, then steer them in the direction they want to be.
That's a terrific aspect of that cross promotion, it seems. To be able to know exactly what each community's niche and brand story is. Dungannon certainly is very different than St. Paul, and that yeah, you've each got unique assets that you can tell your visitors about. Oh, when you leave here, man, you've got to go down to Dungannon. And here are 3 things you can do.
In terms of celebrating successes too, if you do what you two ladies are doing so well here tonight, you bring Deborah to your meeting and let her talk about something that really worked in Dungannon so that people start inviting each other to celebrate successes in other communities.
Great, because this doesn't have to happen every community all together around in a group like this. It can happen community one-on-one.
Right.
Thanks. Yeah. Randy.
Well, I'll respond to that as well. We could have a reception at Greg's place once he opens that up for celebrating.
To celebrate!
If you like to do that sort of thing. But what I was going to say is building on her comment about the events, for extra credit, maybe you could have some signature hometowns of the Clinch events. You know, that I know you already do really probably, but
yeah. I bet we're really close to having one in each community. I like that. We're gonna wrap. Yeah, we're about to. Any last comments?
Dance on the bridge. I want to come to the dance on the bridge.
Okay. Dance on the bridge.
That sounds fun.
Okay. Okay. We're going to take these thoughts. We're going to build a visual assessment that's under a much cooler name, happier name. And then we're going to roll this out. Is there any reason that we shouldn't move forward with this?
What will the timeline be? A year to accomplish objectives?
Yeah, I think, and there's not really going to be we're not going to say, hey, you've got to do this in a year, but we're going to have the points, and you can come to us, and we're going to be working with you one-on-one anyway. But you can say, when you feel like you've accomplished it, you'll get your sign. Yeah. So it'll be pretty basic, I think. With here's our team. Look, we've got a rack card holder over here at this restaurant where you can get information. We went to a Main Street event that was held over in Abingdon, and we can work with you on these things. And we've got plenty of entrepreneurship events coming up. I think you'll be able to do it fairly quickly. with the Clinch gear. We've been working with Friends of Southwest Virginia, and we'll probably have another strategy as well to be able to get that in your community. I think it'll be pretty, I think you'll be able to knock it out. Yeah.
Another event, when they knock down the town of Cleveland, that's gonna be a big event. Knock down the 8 buildings.
Yeah, that'll be a dramatic event. Yeah. So there might be some way we can support that, to celebrate that aspect. It's an interesting kind of aspect to celebrate. All right, let me turn it back over to you to close us up.
Well, I just want to offer, first, I want to say to Emily and Andy, the IAN interns who have been working behind the scenes for days. I want to say months, years, Doug and the Kirby Steering Committee and Kirby participants, those of you who have come for the first time. Travis, I just continue to be amazed by the hard work and the fun and the new learning. So gratitude to all of you. That started with the panel, like I want to just hear it every month. It's really cool to listen to. So thank you again to our panelists. Again, please make sure that we have your email address, postal address. If you have any questions, let us know. We have a lot of food that would be great to eat, a lot of cookies. There's still some, there might be Kirby Valentine's Day cards left.
The Valentine's candy.
The Valentine's Day candy. We hope all of you have a sweet holiday on the
Drive
river.
very carefully, Emily.
We have a lot of materials for you to take home, accomplishments, documents, things where you can engage with us. So take a look at the table. We have stickers as well that have the Clinch logo, so bring them back to your friends and family.
And how do we see the show at some point on ARC TV? Is the ARC TV dot?
It's going to be on ARC television. We have 800,000 viewers in the Quad-State area when all our systems are up. So.
Thank you so much for doing that.
Thank you everyone for being here. Have a great night.